All right, so I'm 29 and my net worth is a little bit over $450,000. And I didn't get there by being a genius or by making crazy money or by buying Fartcoin at the right time. I got there because in my early 20s, I had no idea what I was doing with my money, yet I was forced to figure it out. Nobody teaches you about money and investing, not school, many times not your parents, and then the internet is just a bunch of noise that's difficult to sort through. But the good news is you're not on your own. You have me, Weiler, uploading just in time to inject your minds with some money tips that will help you win. So in this video, I want to give you the 15 money lessons that help me build my net worth to a place where I have great freedom and flexibility. My goal is that for each one of these lessons, you can maybe learn something or have a takeaway to help you skip the years that I wasted flailing around like an idiot. This is the stuff that I wish someone sat me down and told me when I was 20 years old, before I wasted any time chasing the wrong goals or before I realized how simple building wealth actually is if you know the rules of the game. I can say confidently that if I didn't take money seriously in my 20s, I'd be nowhere near the spot I am now. It's probably the best decision I've ever made up to this point. Let me know in the comments what money rules you had to learn the hard way and what decisions got you to the spot you're in today. Let's get right into it. Lesson number 1, society owes you nothing. One of the biggest failures of especially young people is thinking that stuff's just going to be handed to you. Like you just deserve to be rich. You deserve to have this high income, that you're some special person, a gift from God. Everybody's mom tells them how special they are growing up. I get it. But I have some bad news for you. You're not special. Society owes you nothing, and nothing in life is going to be guaranteed or given to you. In fact, you usually have to fight and go out of your way to learn about this stuff, or go out of your way to find a job, to get money to invest. Like, you're the one responsible for your future. And I wish it wasn't this way. I wish we had this super easy system where you just could fall back on and jobs were just lined up waiting for us. And I wish our system was set up to teach us about money and tech and AI. But it's not, sadly. If you just assume that nothing's going to be handed to you, then that will benefit you more than thinking that you're always going to have the backup and you're always going to be bailed out. Like, you must go on this mission and assume that you have no backup. It's up to us to learn fast, take action, or we're going to fall behind. That's just the truth. You have to strive to become someone that is so skilled and so valuable that people are begging to give you money to solve their problems. So make sure you go and take that personal responsibility first and foremost, because I see in the comments all the time, oh, I hear about investing, but I don't know where to start. Well, let me tell you something. What separates those who win from those who don't is they go and learn about it. They take matters into their own hands. So don't be afraid to ask questions, but at the same time, only ask questions if you've already looked into it and couldn't find the answer. People owe you nothing. You have to go figure stuff out on your own sometimes. This mentality will get you to a place where making money is much simpler. Trust me. Lesson number 2. Be an owner, not a consumer. Most people spend their entire lives on the wrong side of capitalism. They consume everything, products, entertainment, trends, they get into debt, and then they never end up owning anything that produces value. Being an owner means you have your money working for you like an employee. You own stocks that pay dividends. You own index funds. You have skills. You own a business. You own some other asset, like anything, right? Could be code. When you're a consumer and not an owner, every dollar leaves your pocket forever, and then it's gone. But when you're an owner, every dollar you invest becomes a tiny employee that works for you 24/7. In my life, there are really 2 kinds of people. There are those who bought things and those who invested. When I was in my early 20s, a lot of my friends were buying nicer apartments, nicer cars, but I was playing a different game. I was living cheap. I was buying assets. Sure, it was pretty boring at the time, but now I have assets that bring me money every month and go up in value. Capitalism really is an incredible system if you're on the ownership side, but if you're not, it definitely feels unfair, stressful, and even rigged against you. Same with inflation and the asset values increasing. Like, think of something like housing market prices. They keep going up. Those who own the houses, they don't mind because their net worth's going up. But those who don't own the houses yet, they're chasing a moving goalpost and they keep falling further and further behind. So when your paychecks hit your bank account, you need to shift your identity from where can I spend my money to what can I own that pays me later? And the earlier you cross that line in life, the faster your net worth's going to take off. And that's when you stop trading time for survival and start trading time and money for freedom. Lesson number 3, you must track your gap or lose everything. The gap, of course, is not where you go and buy shitty clothes. It's the gap between your income and expenses. Income is usually pretty easy to track, but what loses most people is failing to track their expenses. You need to know where your money goes down to the dollar, your rent, your insurance, your phone bill, your food, your car, your subscriptions, alcohol, whatever you do, literally everything. If you don't know where your money goes, you'll always feel like you're just getting by. Like, awareness of your money is half the battle. So get a picture of your finances so you know what cuts you can make. I was on a call with a buddy one time and he was complaining. He's like, I just don't know where all the money in my account goes. We have none left over at the end of the month. And then when we went over everything in great detail, it was easy to find a few things he could cut back on. That same thing could likely happen to many of us. There were many times in my life where I had kind of a wake up call where it's like, wow, like, how did I spend that much money on food this past month? Like, anything you spend just $19 a week on adds up to $1,000 a year. So use that information to make sure your money doesn't slip into the void. Next, let's get into lesson number 4, which is a big one. You don't need a high salary to build wealth. And this is kind of a mindset one. There's too many people under the impression that investing is only for rich people. Wealth really starts with your habits, not your income. A consistent $100 a month invested in your 20s beats someone who makes 6 figures but zero plan and they have no income gap. I didn't make 6 figures for a while in my career, but I found ways to invest, and my net worth grew a lot, even when my salary was 70 to 80K. And just doing the math on how cheap my lifestyle was, even if I was making 40 grand, 50 grand, I would have been fine because my lifestyle was in check. So don't use low salary as an excuse to not put money away. There really is no excuse. I mean, there's a famous story that gets brought up a million times. Ronald Reed was literally a janitor making hardly anything, but his tiny contributions over 40, 50 years basically got him rich over his lifetime. So you should focus on income, but never use low income as an excuse not to invest. Which brings us to lesson number 5. Starting early is not optional. Every dollar you earn now is multiplied in value. It was explained to me when I started investing that $1 at age 20 is actually worth 22 future dollars when you retire. And that really does make you think about the dumb purchases that add up, like especially the things that are counterproductive, right? Like think of subscriptions, eating out, alcohol, coffees, food delivery, stuff like that. That's a lot of those things just waste your time and steal from you. When I got my first job, my net worth was just above $0 at the time. And I remember my family pressuring me saying, like, now that you have income, you need a plan on what to do with your money. And I was very thankful for that little kick because when I was in my 20s, especially, 20, 21, 22, I didn't give a shit about money. I wasn't thinking about money. So I ended up reading a few books. I remember Unshakable by Tony Robbins, The Intelligent Investor by Graham, and I watched a lot of YouTube videos. Graham Stephan comes to mind, but basically I picked up the gist of investing, which is that you invest in long-term things over a long time horizon consistently, and you'll be fine. And all of these books said the same thing. The earlier you start, the better. Money in your 20s compounds for decades. $100 today could be $10,000 in your future, or nothing if you blow it on stupid things. Starting early quite literally set me up for life, and if you're a young guy watching this, early 20s, you have a huge advantage over all the rich old guys, and that's the time you have. Procrastination and waiting to invest and waiting to take your money seriously is the costliest expense you'll ever have. Waiting kills compounding way more than bad market timing ever could. So start taking your money seriously because starting early is not optional. Educate yourself and then move. Lesson number 6. Don't try to get rich quick. Now, if you try to do this, it's going to cost you. I've just seen this play out a billion times. One of the biggest defects with young men today specifically is they want to get rich quick. And I understand that everybody wants to be the 28-year-old rich guy in a mansion with the fancy cars, flexing in front of the ladies. But fortunately, there's a lot of scams out there. The options trading, the crypto pumps, the NFTs. Just as a general rule of thumb, if someone or something promises you to get rich quick, the person selling that to you is likely the one getting rich quickly off of you. Now, will some guys get lucky? Sure. Some guys buy the shit coins and then they go up 20,000% and they just get lucky. But even if something like this happens and you do become the rarity that succeeds, you're skipping out on the good part, which is the journey where you become an insanely competent and dangerous and cool character that's been through a lot of shit. Everything comes at a cost, and while the get-rich-quick stories are the ones that are cool to listen to, it does skip over the graveyard of thousands of people who tried the same thing and failed. In my opinion, the best thing is to stick to the fundamentals, continue to improve yourself, and invest slowly over a long time horizon. You get what I mean here. In addition to not getting rich quick, you should not be trying to time the market. The amount of people who are like, oh, I'm going to buy and then sell and then buy and sell, and I'm a genius, I'm outsmarting the market. They think they can predict these things, which it is just illogical for many reasons. Not only does it increase your tax bill, but it lowers your probability of winning. The odds that you make money go up in direct correlation with how long you've held on to these positions. Guess what? I don't know shit about what's going on, and neither do you. Hedge funds don't even outperform stocks 90% of the time. So what makes you think little old you can? Do you think you have the information and the skills to just outsmart everyone else? Because I don't. I'm just a guy from Wisconsin. You don't need to predict when crashes happen. You just need to stay prepared for when they do happen, and then more importantly, stay in the game long enough to benefit from them. Time in the market beats timing it. Even if you invest at the worst possible time, the S&P has never had a 20-year losing window. Dollar cost averaging, seems to be the most optimal strategy. I used to try to time the market and pretend I was smarter than everyone by buying triple leveraged ETFs, day trading back when I was an idiot, and it just stressed me out. It cost me money and it made me pay more in taxes. There was really no reason for it. So the sooner you understand that you probably aren't going to get rich quick, the better. The sooner that you understand that you know nothing and you're not smarter than everyone else, that's going to help you in the long term because it'll force you to actually put in the work and get better. Lesson number 7, saving money will not make you rich. Investing will. Cash is kind of a tricky thing right now because at the end of the day, it's a piece of paper that can be manipulated, printed, inflated away to meet the needs of politicians. Inflation has definitely run hotter than normal in the last 5 years or so, and cash is actually designed to lose some value in order to incentivize spending and keeping the economy going. Now, saving isn't a bad thing. It's kind of step one, because if you're saving money, that means you have some gap between your income and expenses, and that's really good. But it's what you do with those savings that matters. There's so many guys with even decent cash, like just sitting there, rotting away in value. And I don't know why. Like my cousin and I, for example, would get into arguments about this, where he would always play stuff safe and he left his money in cash for a while and he had a good amount of it, but he's just letting it rot away in value. I was showing him inflation statistics. I was showing him how to invest in the stock market, and he just ignored me for like 5 years. Now he's kicking himself because over these last 5 years, the stock market's gone way up, and he could have about double or triple what he has now if he didn't leave his stuff in cash. So that goes to show you saving is not enough. You need to invest. You need to buy assets. And people make mistakes doing this all the time. I've even seen some people say, hey, Weiler, I transferred money to my Roth IRA. Now I'm good to go, right? Nope. You need to buy assets in it still. Otherwise, you're just moving cash from one place to another to rot away. Now, there are going to be times when you need more cash than normal, but that's really only when you need to buy something big soon, or you have a special life situation, like you need a down payment, a car, whatever. Even in my case, I'm playing it more conservative, but I really don't keep things in cash. If anything, I put them into, treasury funds or money market funds so I can at least get a 3% return or so on that money instead of the measly, 0.05% or whatever the banks give you. So saving money will protect you, but investing will grow your money. You can't save your way to freedom. You have to build, invest, and multiply. Cash should really only be used strategically, not as the default. Lesson number 8, and this is a very big and overlooked one. The best investment actually isn't stocks, it's your skills. If you're watching this and you have less than 10 grand to your name and not much income, you should be less concerned about your investing and more concerned with building your money-making engine, which is your skills and income. The highest ROI thing you could be doing is investing in your ability to earn money in the future. And if you don't have much money, you could penny pinch your way and try to save and invest your way into $100 a month by, cutting back on everything. Or you could upskill, you could double your income and turn that into $1 to $2 grand a month in monthly investments. Now, even if you do have less than 10K, you should still be trying to put a little bit away, especially if you're on the young side. But sometimes investing in yourself will just go further. My investment in my computer science skills has been by far the best investment I have ever made. It's enabled me to get high salaries very early on. When I was 22, I was making 70 grand. And when I quit my job, I was making over 130, 140 grand, where I could invest thousands of dollars per month and take advantage of the 2020 stock crisis, the 2022 crisis, the 2025 stock market correction. And this built my net worth to a place where I had great freedom and great opportunity. So the more that you invest in your skills, the more your income ceiling rises, the more you can invest, and the freer you'll be. So this next lesson is very similar related to the last one, and this is lesson 9. Learn to sell and communicate, and money will come. Now, I think this is the main reason I've been successful as an engineer and companies promoted me and gave me more money. It separated me from the competition is that I was a great communicator. Everyone, when you're an engineer, is technical, but what made me better was my ability to communicate and clear up confusion on the teams around me. Sometimes being smart or knowledgeable on a topic is not enough, and even the smartest person in the world is going to lose to someone if they can't explain things well. The world rewards visibility and people who provide clarity and persuade people and can break down complicated things into plain English. So if you know how to sell and communicate and evoke emotion, the money's going to come. It's almost inevitable. There are idiots who get rich every day, and that's not because they're smart, but it's because they can communicate and sell. Sometimes the smartest people overthink everything, and they're just afraid that for some reason something's going to happen, and they sit there and think and never go and get uncomfortable. So if you're one of those really smart guys watching this, and you probably know that, get off your high horse, come get in the trenches, and come get a little dirty and emerge victorious. Now, communication and selling, that comes with practice. You're going to have to be out there in the field, so to speak, talking to people and learning about people. When I was grinding my 9-to-5 job, 4 hours of my day was just talking about software problems with different people of different backgrounds. And you learn how to speak with this group of people and how it's different from how you communicate with this other group of people. And it was really a great education in communication. And then even starting this YouTube has helped me a lot in this regard. And it's been something I've been working on for a while, is sharpening my communication skills. When you're doing business and making money, it's really just people dealing with people at the end of the day. And people are going to give money to those who they trust. And usually if they trust you, that means you're a good communicator. So learn how to sell, learn how to communicate. And if you're good with people, money is going to come to you. Lesson number 10. Use your job to win. Now, everybody on the internet loves to hate the 9-to-5 job, and don't get me wrong, it definitely has its downsides, especially if you're in a bad situation, but your job shouldn't be the enemy. In fact, I like to call it in my videos the launch pad, where you use it and it launches you to that next level of where you want to be. I recommend almost everyone go and get a job and learn from it. For me, I had a job for about 8 years, and it did great things. Gave me a lot of money, gave me benefits, gave me a network, gave me skills, and basically it was the reason I accumulated a large portfolio to be able to leave my job in the future. If you have a job, it should really be bringing you some benefits, right? Either some money, introducing you to people, or giving you skills. And if it's not doing that, then it's time to leave. It's kind of just a waste of time. I used my job to invest more and support myself, and it made me more financially free. Without the skills and the network I gained on the job, I wouldn't have been able to go out on my own. So you should not fear jobs, but instead, when you have them, use them to win and don't waste time in them. Lesson 11, and we're going to say this one twice. Lifestyle inflation is the killer of freedom. All right, say it with me again. Lifestyle inflation is the killer of freedom. Every upgrade you buy delays your independence and delays your freedom. And most people don't stay broke because of their income, their lack of income. They stay broke because they buy too many things. They increase their lifestyle. They get a raise and then they spend it and then they upgrade. In your 20s, you have to ask yourself, would you rather have freedom or things? Because oftentimes you can't have both, at least right away. The cost of money spent in your 20s is much higher than money you spend later on. This is something that I am proud of myself for. My salary went up and up and up, and my lifestyle basically stayed the same and even got cheaper a lot of the time. Like, I was literally making 6 figures and living in my parents' basement for like 2 or 3 years. And when I got my first engineering job, still lived with my 4 university roommates. I never overspent on a car. I never got into this, lifestyle competition with people. I just thought that it wasn't necessary. If you're a guy out there and you want to buy things, just resist that urge as long as you can. Delay it till your late 20s, early 30s, because you're going to thank yourself later when you have more freedom. So watch out for these traps, cars especially. Don't overpay on rent. Don't buy nice shit until you're at least a little bit older, and you should be fine. Remember, in your 20s, you kind of get a pass to be cheap and be an idiot, right? It's accepted by society. But if you're, 38 living in a shithole, then that's a little bit different than when you're 23 and living in a shithole. So save all that nice fancy stuff for when you're a real adult in your 30s and beyond. Lesson number 12, expect slow progress. This investing stuff, it doesn't happen fast. Like, I've had this talk with several people close to me in my life where they're like, oh, why learn? I only have 8K, and getting a 10% return on that just doesn't feel fun for leaving money tied up in the markets for a year. Getting the return just doesn't feel exciting. That's not fast. That's only $800, and I totally get it. Investing feels so painfully slow at first, especially when your net worth is in the 4 digits or lower. But all I'm asking you is to do the math. Go to compoundinterest.gov, I think that's the right website, and look at even what $100 a month starting at age 20 can do for you. Self-made millionaires start around zero. You have to get through that. Don't use that as an excuse. If you keep saying, I'm never going to invest because it's so slow, then you're just going to be 40 complaining that you're broke. You have to get in the game and just accept that it's going to be slow and painful. So yeah, 500,000, 5,000, even 10,000 can be a little bit boring. But once you get to those little higher numbers, it becomes addicting and your money starts to make a big difference and it's just not as slow. This reminds me of the ice cube theory, where you want to melt an ice cube and the temperature is 0 degrees Fahrenheit. You could do all the work to raise that temperature to 10, 20, 30 degrees Fahrenheit, but the ice cube's still not melting. It looks like there's no progress. But eventually, when you get to that 32 degrees and above, you see the ice cube start to melt. And that's the same with wealth. Wealth feels invisible at first. You're not going to see it daily. You're not even going to see the difference yearly sometimes during down years. But it will show up later, especially decades later, and you're going to thank yourself now that you started earlier despite the slow progress. If you just get to those first few tens of thousands of dollars, your life is going to change. You're going to have peace of mind and finally some growth to show for it. All right, lesson 13. This is a big one that many people overlook. is you have to understand taxes in order to keep your money. So when investing, a lot of times the government offers you what are called tax-advantaged accounts. And if you don't use these correctly, then seemingly insignificant mistakes in your 20s can literally cost you hundreds of thousands of dollars later. Taxes often eat away at your gains, especially in America, where I'm from, where they can often take 20 to 30% of your investment profits. And that's why I use the tools given to me to legally pay less taxes. I have a Roth IRA set up, a 401k, an HSA. You have to look into these tools and be smart about your taxes when you're investing. Just investing is not enough. I personally think the Roth IRA is my favorite because it's literally a cheat code. It's tax-free growth for the rest of your life. I don't know why everybody wouldn't be using that. So definitely look into retirement accounts, any deductions, and planning to keep more of what you earn. Wealthy people don't cheat, usually, but they prepare and they use the system and the tools they're given to their advantage. So make sure you look into tax-advantaged accounts to invest your money. It might just save you hundreds of thousands of dollars. Money lesson number 14. This is another mindset one. You don't have to stay poor. This is a sad thing that I see with too many people, is that they see a system, and this system is hard. It's even rigged to help rich people, for sure. But it's not impossible to beat. And nowadays, there are lots of opportunities that older generations just simply did not have, especially in regards to making money online and using the internet and AI to your advantage. Being born broke is not your fault, but dying broke, I believe, is a choice for many, many people. I'm a firm believer in that. You don't have to stay poor. You don't have to listen to everyone saying on the internet how it's impossible to succeed and you can't do it. You might as well just not even try. Even if you think that's true, it's just not logical. Like, what's the point of not trying? We're only here once. I'm very saddened to see this mindset among so many young people who they just want to give up. They check out. And part of me creating this channel is to try to give people hope and show people how normal guys can succeed. Sometimes you have to be a little bit delusional. Delusional people succeed because they believe in themselves when nobody else will. I see normal, unremarkable people of average intelligence succeed all the time just because they have that grit. They have that fight in them. In order to become rich, you have to think like rich people. And what do? They learn the rules, they play long-term games, and if you do that, you'll beat 90% of people who just aren't even going to try. With so many people checking out of society, I do think that if you're a person who's dedicated and they show some fight, I think that those people will succeed and be just fine. There's so much programming out there that's trying to convince young people that they just have to give up and throw everything away, and I just don't believe that. I think we have to fight and try to make a difference in our lives and the lives of those around us. And a lot of that starts with being responsible and making money so you can go and have an influence and go change the world. Adopt a good mindset and the money will come. Lesson number 15. Freedom doesn't mean retirement, it means options. So money doesn't buy happiness. Basically, anybody who has a ton of money can tell you that. You need enough to be comfortable, but beyond that, it's more how you spend your time, and it's more your mindset and your peace of mind. What money does buy is control over your time. It buys you freedom, it buys you options, and that's the real goal. Due to my decisions in my 20s, I had the options and freedom to be able to leave my job, and I went and did that. It wouldn't have been possible without money. So make sure you're not just arbitrarily chasing money. For me, I was chasing freedom, options, being a provider, spending more time with family and friends, and working on what I like. I don't have a desire to stop working or retire, but I did have a desire for freedom. So make sure you're not just chasing money for the sake of chasing money. Make sure you have a plan behind it. So there you have it, the 15 lessons I learned in building my net worth to over $450,000. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of these, and I'll catch you in the next one.